Good evening, friends. Welcome to Common Sense with Dr. Bill. This problem from fourth grade has three and technically four steps if you consider drawing a picture as part of solving a problem. And I noticed that there were several issues that could have caused the students to go haywire when they were trying to solve this problem. So another thing that I want to do for this lesson is show a different type of motivation. What I have four different colored monkeys for each step in the process, and it's going to be multiplication and division with remainders. And that's why I'm saying that if your kids did not know what to do and they had a remainder when they're asking how much is needed, when you need some specific quotient and a little bit more, then we have to make sure the kids know what to do when it comes to that little bit more. So, uh, the suggestion that I have for you now is to buy the little mini packs of Skittles because I'm going to use each sentence, each step S, sentence S, Skittle S, as a reward system to motivate. Because remember, I was mentioning that a lot of kids don't like doing math and they don't have the motivation, they don't have the endurance to make it through. So, what you might do now that we're still in January is give your students some sort of mini prize. Like I said, the kids have an imaginary sign on their shirt that says, Have hunger, will uh, do strategies for food. Well, this one's going to be Skittles, and I color coded with the steps blue, then purple, green, and red. And I try to, as often as possible, make sure the question is red so that the students will remember do not stop sign red until you actually get to the question to remember exactly what's being asked. So, let me show you the problem, the way I set it up, so that you could see a way that might make a difference. So as you can see, I have a blue sentence, a purple sentence, a green one, and an orange one. And I drew a little skittle where you can reward the students for each step that they go along the way. And for those of you that are keeping track, basically it's going to be 3 to technically 4 steps of multiplication and division with remainders. Okay. It's TEKS 4.2.4.h. But as I mentioned, make sure you focus more on the skill since that's what I'm mentioning. As soon as I mention the grade level on your email, I'm mentioning uh, the skill so that you can know, regardless of what grade level you teach, if you're having kids struggling with that skill, go ahead and watch the video so you can see if some of the techniques that I share with you might make a difference. So again, because it didn't do well in April, it would probably get only 10 to 20% now that we're still in January. So I'm going to start with the question, how many cases? Cases is my keyword. How many is a number? Okay. Of towels does a stadium need in order for that one section of seats? So a lot of times, just for the kids who don't have that experience, when you go to professional sports, the people in charge of the advertising will sometimes give away prizes for those people who purchase tickets and they lay them on the seat, and you either get them when you get to your seat or you get them as soon as you walk in the front door. But according to the problem laid out here, I went ahead and did it so that they were on the seats when the person gets there. So let's take a look at just keywords, 12 bags how many cases. So I already know, since the keywords are not the same, whenever you notice that the keywords towels, bags, cases, it might be a good idea for your students to write diff, not difference, but different, that the keywords are different. So normally you're going to have to be either multiplying, dividing, or, as in the case of this problem, both, which the students didn't know how to do. Okay. So I'm going to highly suggest that you look at the picture that I'll take of this problem, both the problem and the way that I drew it out. And so I want you to notice, for those of you who haven't already printed, each time that I see little tiny mistakes, I update it. I saw two things that I didn't like about this question. I tricked myself in the question where you haven't updated. I'm gonna make sure that I keep updating. And like I said, I'm only one person, and I am not Jesus yet, so I'm gonna make mistakes, but I'm gonna do my best so that you who help me, and of course me when I'm doing the problems myself, when I would suggest that if you see something and you're working ahead of me, let me know. I'll fix it, send it to you really quickly so that your students can try to um, work it out after you do. And like I recommend, I highly suggest that before you have your students do any problems, see if you can figure out your way or a way that'll work for you. So let's check out our first Skittle, or a blue Skittle, if we can do this little step. A football stadium is needing 12 bags of towels to place on seats for the fans in just one section. All right. So as you see, I went ahead and have in my blue section, step one, sentence one, blue monkey, blue Skittle, blue sentence. There are the 12 bags. And I went ahead and wrote one bag, two bags, because the number always comes before the keyword that goes with it. So there's the 12 bags that we needed. And I'll get into these three little lines later when we talk about when we're needing a certain amount of cases and a little bit more, because it said that they need 12 bags. Okay. So let me go ahead and show you the next color. I have purple. And so here's my purple down here. Let's read what it says first, and then how we can kind of lay it out. And I think executing is really important. The way you structure and have your kids use their lined and blank paper, their lab work, is going to be really important, because it's just too hard to understand just from a worksheet. I need to have a picture sometimes so I can paint exactly what's being shared with me. There's 8 towels in each bag. That's purple Skittle, purple sentence number 2. So I went ahead and drew uh, a Dallas Cowboy towel, since um, that's my uh, favorite team, even though they lost for us again. Then it did say a football stadium. So there's what my towel is going to look like. So there's 8 towels, 8 being the number, and towel being the keyword in each bag. And so in this case, if you look at the mathematics chart, there's a little thing on the bottom in the place value that says PM. It doesn't mean AM and PM. It means if you find each in the problem, like we did here, because this sentence ends with a period, it's possible that we're going to multiply. And that was indeed the case, that in order to find out how many towels are in all of the bags, I have to figure out how many are in each bag. And so you can see what I did here. with purple, I went ahead and multiplied the 8 towels that are inside each of all 12 bags, which means I'm going to need 96 towels. So then what I did I went back into the problem and I said, okay, here's me plugging that in. I need 8 towels in each bag. And so as you can see, it's probably best to go step by step, but to always go back and build on what you start in the original picture. Third sentence, third skittle, third detail. The towels come in cases with 5 bags in every single case. Okay, so first I'll come down here. I have 5 bags of towels inside every single case. Okay, that means if I have, again, PM, problem multiply, question mark, if I have a bag of towels and I know that there's 8 towels in every bag, well, I'm going to take these 5 bags of 8 towels and place them in that case. So problem multiply 8 times 5 is there's going to be 40 towels to one case. Okay. And this is where I had made the mistake. Um, I was trying to sit there and divide the uh, 96 by 5 initially, and then I realized, no, they're asking about how many cases. So because each case has 40, you look here what I did with my green skittle, my green step, my green sentence, I went ahead and purposely organized, because I read ahead, each bag in rows of 5. So you can see here's one case of towels with 5 bags inside. There's my second case of towels with 5 bags inside, 8 towels inside each bag. And so you can see there's just so much information. It was going to be very easy for the kids to get lost. Okay. So unfortunately, if I only get 2 cases, then there's going to be 16 towels, 2 more bags that will not be available for the number of seats that I want to put those on. And so that's where your students are going to have to do division. Now, if they're smart enough, they can say, well, since I have 2 cases, they can already see I'm going to need an extra case. And so they would be done if they just drew a picture. But if the students went ahead and went to the question and asked that question, how many cases of towels do they need to order based on what? Well, that I need 96 towels and they're coming 40 towels to each case because of what we just did on step 3, then we can do the regular division, put the dividend, the numerator in this case, inside the box, and the divisor, the number on the outside, the denominator, in long division form. And because many of my students really struggled with multiplication and division when you're having to do a division problem like this, I recommend that you try this activity that I have on page 36 of the posters. I call it Ma's Red. I failed division again, Mom. 5 easy steps to dividing numbers that you multiply something, a factor on the outside, until you get an answer that is equal to or greater than the number inside the box. Once you get it, you'll subtract to find your remainder, and then you'll either drop or you're done. And a lot of you have different acronyms, but what I think you're gonna like about mine is, and the very next page shows you what I'm about to show you here. I have my mass read. We're gonna be going by 40s, multiplying by 40s until I get an answer that is 96 or higher. So since 40 cannot go into 9, I could do it, but 40 times 0 is 0, and you still have your 96. So you've got to keep that in mind. So this is the part that I recommend, that whatever your students are multiplying, put, come down below, uh, and I can't remember if I mentioned it, but the reason I like to make all of my math surgery tests one-sided is so that you can see the question and the problem on one side, and then you can actually see it being worked out so that they're side by side with each other, and you're able to kind of check while staying on the same page. Okay. Now, of course, when you take the test on the computer will not be on the same page as your students, but it's real important in math that your students do more lab work, lined and blank paper work. So let me show you how the MOSRED works. So you multiply times 1, and your answer is 40. We didn't get to 96 or higher yet. So what you multiply goes on top, and your answer, its product, goes on the bottom. 40 times 2 is 80. And I said we have to keep going until we go past to make sure that we go to the highest multiple possible to actually find the original other factor to that we're going to multiply to get to our product that we're looking for. 40 times 3 is 120. So since we went past, we know now we can come back. So what that means is that I need 2, and then because we have a remainder when I subtract 6 minus 0 being 6 and 9 minus 8 being 1, that means I am done, but the students who did not draw the picture to say, wait a minute, I have 2 cases, but there's still these 16 bags left. So what I'm going to suggest that you do is teach your kids to think of something that I call 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock. And that way you take this, what we commonly know as an improper fraction, and turn it into a mixed number by saying these numbers from 12 to 3 to 6 to 9. So it means that we're going to need 2 cases and 16 more towels from another case of 40. So technically speaking, we need 2 cases and another case because we need enough towels for everybody. And this has happened many times, I've noticed, on multiple grade levels, where they want to know if your students will settle for the lower answer. And again, this is the updated test, so make sure that you use the one that I sent you with this email, so that you see a 2 and a 3 as a possibility, because I put some other numbers, because I did like the students probably did. I went ahead and was trying to divide 90 by 5 when you should be dividing the 90 by 40, because we're going by cases of 40 to get to the 96. Okay. So the answer in this case would be, we would, in this case, I need 3 cases. I would need 3 cases. And so again, because we're at a very early point in the year, most of your students are not going to be able to get through all these steps uh, of multiplication and division. And something else that I noticed or that you'll want to reward them for each step they can possibly get. Let them have some Skittles, and again, you can buy a package of uh, Skittles and Dollar Tree. If you want to do Smarties, those are also S's. But for each step that they can accomplish and do it and show their work for you, then they can be rewarded. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to make sure your kids have an endurance for all of these questions. And if they can't even make it through one, then we're gonna have a problem. So and again, like I mentioned with the M&M candy, math with motivation. But let me just close by showing you something. A lot of times you teach, if you tell them if they find each in the question, we're going to divide. Well, there's no each in this question. So unless your students knew that from the picture, they were going to have an extra case, they were going to have to remember that if I'm going to be going by 40s, I've got to keep going until I have enough cases to cover all 96 towels that I need, which would have been a division problem. Uh, and I can see why many students would have struggled. So that Moss Red is on page 12. And like I said, because I needed the extra one, then your kids, even though it would go over, I do need that third case. And even though there'll be some extra towels in order to have enough for all of the bags that are in that one section, it'll be important that we uh, show that visually for the students. So again, thank you so much for watching this video. And again, even though this is only a fourth grade problem, you can see how this would be very overwhelming for uh, all the way up to sixth, seventh, eighth graders. So I highly recommend that you try these problems as warm up with your students, see how far they can get, um, working with a class, working with groups, working with partners, depending on which grade level you have and which ability level, they might be able to handle a question like this. But you can see that definitely for third grade, it was completely overwhelming and they struggled. And try the Moss Red with several uh, 2-digit dividends and one-digit divisors where um, they have to do 1 or 2 steps of Moss Red, because if you saw on the bottom last letter of Moss Red, the D, you're either going to drop and go back to the top and go through the letters of Moss Red again, multiply, put another answer, subtract, find another remainder, and then you'll drop or you'll be done. Uh, so the saying that you can teach your kids is when you drop, go back to the top or you'll be done. So that's how I would recommend a way to solve this problem. But you let me know if you have a different approach that you think works better for you. Thanks, guys. God bless and have a wonderful rest of your day or evening or weekend whenever you're happening to watch this.